When trying to communicate scientific issues like climate change to the general public, very often it's not about science education. It's more about overcoming distrust. People are defending their positions on issues like climate change, not because of the science behind it, but because they're defending values that they hold dear. And so we can try and think about the forms of distrust in four forms. The first, they distrust the messenger. And the messenger in many ways is important as the message. So many people distrust scientists, democratic politicians, and environmentalists. And those are the three primary spokespeople on climate change. You need to find other spokespeople to try and reach them. The Pope, business leaders, evangelical leaders, meteorologists, sports figures. They're all relevant in the debate, and each one reaches an audience that sometimes scientists can't. I don't feel comfortable speaking on theology, but I will quote the Pope in order to reach certain audiences. Secondly, people distrust the message. They distrust the message that climate change will wreak havoc in the world around us. Many people have a just world theory. They think the world is a very nice place. And so when you present images like the movie The Day After Tomorrow, people just shut down. They don't believe it. So you try and move away from such apocalyptic messages and find ways to bring it to your audiences in ways that they can understand and grasp. Third, they distrust the process that created the message. Many people distrust the scientific review process, and they need to be educated on how science works, what it does, what it can't do. It's not merely just presenting the conclusions of science, but trying to present to people how science works. How does it reach its conclusions? What are the limitations? Something that many scientists are afraid to do. And then finally, many people fear the outcome if they accept that the science is real. And this is very important. People may not believe climate change is real because they don't want to see a carbon price. They may not believe that COVID is real because they do not want to see businesses shut down, schools closed, being forced to wear a mask. You have to separate the outcome, the solution, from the problem. But from there, how can you present solutions in a way that people will find appealing? One problem with environmentalists in particular is that they often focus on the negative. How can you focus on the positive? There was a wonderful critique of the environmental movement a number of years ago called The Death of Environmentalism. And they made the point that environmentalists often focus on the negative. And they try and point out that people aren't motivated by the negative, they're motivated by the positive. And they make it in a very humorous way. They say that one of the most inspirational speeches of all time was not, "I have a nightmare." It was, "I have a dream." And so can you present science in a way that shows people a better world? Think about climate change. Think about urban mobility. Think about new urbanism, walkable cities. After COVID-19, many cities shut their streets and made them into pedestrian malls to allow people to walk and move about with social distancing. Many of them may not want to go back to car habitat, which is pretty much what our cities are designed around. Is that a more desirable environment? I think so. Is that a way to show people there's a way forward that can bring you a better world? It's not just about sacrifice and about being judged or feeling judged for rejecting the conclusions of scientists. How can you frame your messages in ways that your audience will understand? That's the most important aspect of trying to communicate science to a skeptical public.